Ik hou van die Afrikaanse woord, die wervels, gezonde Afrikaanse woord. Zoals Opa zal zeggen, dat is een gevleelde woord. And then I was sent to a rehabilitation center where I received physiotherapy to rehabilitate my body, and the physiotherapy helped me get back some of my strength and some of the movement. I spent 4 months there, and since then, as I said, I've been a wheelchair user. It's been a 6.5-year journey. Now, automatically when somebody looks at somebody in a wheelchair, then you think of what the person can no longer do. That's the normal human response. And so yes, you might look at me and think of what I can no longer do. What I like to do is to divide it into 3 categories. There are things that I can no longer do, like walking like I used to, running, climbing stairs. Then there are things that I can still do, like cooking and baking for my 5 sons, my family. Just when it comes to cooking, the boys have to help me because I can't handle, like when it comes to staining the rice, for instance, I can't handle hot liquid. So the boys assist me in that area. And then of course I can still do my own ironing. Just I can't do too big a batch because it was so too long in the chairs and my back gets sore. But I still do a lot of my own ironing. So yes, there are things that I can no longer do. There are things that I can still do, and then there are new things that I can do, like popping a wheelie. No, seriously. The new thing that I can do is what I'm doing right now, public speaking. This is something I didn't know I had the ability to do. I only discovered this ability after the accident. It started with churches just inviting me out to come and share my testimony, and that I could do because I grew up in the church giving testimonies. And it mushroomed into where I am now, a fully fledged motivational speaker. And I address audience across the board, not just church organizations, secular organizations as well. And I'm totally loving this. I'm loving every minute of it, and I feel I was born to do this. And through this, God is helping me to turn disability into possibility. But now, society has a very specific way of dealing with disability. People get rather awkward around disabled people. I'm sure our sister can testify to that fact. They think because you are physically disabled, you're mentally disabled as well. And so they speak to you like you're 2 years old. Or they speak to you very loudly, like you're deaf. Or worse still, they ignore you and they speak to the able-bodied person with you about you. What society really wants is that we disabled people must sit in the corner so that you aren't in the way with your cumbersome wheelchair. And while you're in that corner, you must have a vacant expression on your face because you are disabled after all. And they come this short to hanging a board around your neck which says victim of circumstance. What society is really saying is that if you are disabled, you must look and act the part. But you know what my reaction to that is? To that I say, I don't think so. Or as we say on the Cape Flat, procure a taxi. Jy maak jou laugh. Because my philosophy on all of this is, I lost my mobility, I did not lose my personality as well. So when you step into my space, you will experience Yulanda in all her God-given glory. Because that is the experience that God has brought my way. Now you know that through, as I said, it's been a 6.5-year journey, and God has brought me, het my 'n lang pad gebring. And I've learned some life lessons along the way. And I'd like to share with you very briefly this evening. One of the first things that I learned is that nothing in your life happens in isolation. This was not an isolated incident. Your life is a series of carefully orchestrated events, carefully orchestrated by God. How do I know that? You know, if you look throughout the Bible, if you look at Joseph's life, what I've come to realize is that God is busy with the tapestry of our life. And you know, you look at Joseph's life, I mean, all the events in his life was part of that tapestry. There's Moses, there are so many others. But how I know this for sure is Romans 8:28 that says, and I'm quoting from the NIV version, and we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him and those who are called according to his purpose. Now there is a small word in that verse which is actually a very big word, and the word is all. In all things God works. And that, people, is the good and the bad. All the events in our life are there for a reason, because that is part of the tapestry. Those are the threads of the tapestry that God is busy with, and he's weaving those events into your life for very good reason. And you know, as humans, we automatically, when something happens, we put a label on it, and when it's, most times, you know, it's a bad thing, that is the label we put on it. And we fail to see the good out of a bad situation. That is something which God came to teach me through this event in my life. What I can now say without fail, that there is never a negative without a positive. Through this event, I have discovered, you discover new things about God, you discover new things about yourself, and you discover new things about life in general. And the amazing thing that I've discovered, as I said, is this ability to do public speaking, and I found my calling in life now. And I doubt if that would have happened if I had not been involved in this accident. So I now know for sure that all things, and it means all, every single thing in your life is there for a reason, and God is using it to perfect his purpose. The second part of that verse is and we know that in all things God works for the good. Now that's a very interesting word, because the word is a present tense word, works. That sê nie God worked nie, hy is nou klaar gewerk. It says he works, that means he is at work all the time. And you know what I've discovered is that God has been working even before we were born. Because Ephesians 1 verse 5 verse 4 says, before the foundation of the earth we were chosen. When God called Jeremiah, in Jeremiah 1 verse 5 he says, before you were in your mother's womb I knew you. Before you were formed I set you apart. So God has been working all along, even before. And so from conception, when God is busy forming you, and is busy creating you in your mother's womb, he is at work, because he's creating a very special individual. And you know, for me, when I came across that knowledge, shall I say, that was big for me, because I was born out of wedlock. Ek is 'n voorkind, and so I wasn't exactly planned. It was oops. And oops, yeah. And you know, the label society put on me, the English word is, I was an illegitimate child. Now if you know English, then the prefix ill means wrong, like illegal, illicit, illegible, illegitimate. So what society was saying to me is I was a wrong, I was a mistake. And you know what? That became my truth. That is what I believed about myself. And inevitably, when something is your truth, you show that in ways which you aren't even aware of. So everything about me said, I am sorry that I am alive. Everything about me. My posture, my body language, the language I used, and the energy I gave off. It all said, I am sorry that I am alive. And then I discovered this truth, that my parents may not have planned me, but God most certainly did. And I am here by divine design. And that became my new truth. And that is how I know that God works. At all times He is busy working. The latter part of that verse is, and we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him and those who are called according to His purpose. And you know, when God was busy creating you in your mother's womb, all of us, He put a purpose inside of us. We are here for a reason. Ons is nie hier as prins nie, ons sommer because nie. Ons is hier met 'n baie spesifieke doel. We are here for a specific reason. God put a calling inside of each of us. I call it God's barcode. You know, when you go to the store and each item on the shelf has a barcode. And so by the time you get to the till, the cashier drags if it's a tin of tuna for instance, drags it across the scanner, and the computer will read the barcode and the description comes up on the screen. And that is an indication that that is the manufacturer's code, and the description indicates that the reason the manufacturer made that item. So if it's a tin of tuna, you know, it will say 170 gram tin of shredded tuna in water. And so you know, according to that description, that it's meant for eating. You can make tuna salad, you can make tuna pasta, but you can't brush your teeth with it, you can't shampoo your hair, you can't wash the toilet with it. It's meant specifically for eating. And that is what God did in the womb with us. After He had created us physically, nou nou besluit het wat 'n herriets ons gaan het. And how tall we were going to be, and wat 'n kleur van die vel ons gaan het, you know, and all those details. He put that barcode, it's etched on your soul. He put that code inside you, and that is your calling or your purpose, whatever you want to call it, or your life assignment. And these events that God is busy weaving into your life, that is all propelling you to your purpose and preparing you for your purpose. And as we are going along in life, your barcode is being scanned. And slowly but surely the description is becoming clearer and clearer until finally you have, like I have found one day, you're like, bam, that's what I'm supposed to do for the rest of my life. That is what God means by according to His purpose. And so of course, I know now with absolute certainty that this was brought my way for a reason, because God was perfecting His purpose for my life. In fact, I now call this event my accidental appointment with destiny. Because it was through this event that I found out what my destiny is and what I am to do with the rest of my life. Now people, I did not get here by some magical process. You're looking at me and you're thinking, okay, I am so handling this. You know, I'm just dealing with this disability. I didn't get here by a magical process. It was a journey. And there were dark moments on this journey. There were times when I wanted to throw in the towel. I had suicidal thoughts at one point. I was like, I didn't ask for this. No, this is not fair. Life is not fair. God, how can you do this to me? I was 9 years old when I committed my life to Jesus. Hoe kan jy dit aan my doen, Here? Dis nie regverdig nie. But you know, there's a saying that goes, when you get to a dark place, don't buy property there. Well, I didn't buy property, but I did put up a tent. En ek het 'n bietjie uitgekamp in my tent van verdriet. And I did the Job thing, the woe is me, the why me, Lord, what did I ever do? But I very soon realized that a pity party is a party for one. Because nobody wants to be around a depressed person or somebody who's having an endless pity party. Nobody wants to be around something like that. You actually end up alienating the people around you. And I had to very soon come and realize that this is it's counterproductive. There's a saying we have on the Cape Flats that say, jy moet bykom. Kom by. And so I had to come by. I had to actually get with the program, God's program, and come and realize that God has brought this my way for a very specific reason. And so now I don't have as many dark moments, but I do have moments of frustration. You know, when I can't reach something, you know, when my family has gone off to work and to school, and they haven't taken out a mug for me from the top to make a cup of coffee, and then I have a moment when I cry. I give myself permission to do that, and as women we have that luxury, you know, to give in to our emotions. And in that cry, dan het ek 'n woordewisseling met die Here. And I tell him I'm not quite liking, you know, what's happening to me right now. And then he replies by letting me know that it's okay, my child, I'm still here, I'm still in charge, and I'm still carrying you through all of this. So I want to let you know that it's not all, you know, it's not all doom and gloom. It isn't all fun and roses either. Life is about balance, and we need to maintain a good balance through all of this. This verse, as I said, says that it starts off by saying something very important, which says, and we know. Now it is that knowing which has helped me and sustained me through the 6.5-year journey. And it's not just the knowing that you have up here, it's the knowing you have inside here. And it's not just an oppervlakkige knowing, it's a knowing you have deep down inside, at the core of your being. You just know that God is in charge and He has your best interest at heart. When this happened to me, He had my best interest at heart, and He brought this my way for a reason. And it's that knowing, those times when I do have that moments of frustration, then I do a bit of a detour. And then I always come back to that knowing. That knowing that I just know that God is in control. And He will not give me something beyond that I can bear. As I said, I am now a speaker, something I didn't envisage for my life. People are responding to what I'm saying. I'm writing inspirational articles for magazines, and all I can say is that to God be the glory. Great things He has done. In closing, I'd like to share with you a poem. When I was in the rehabilitation center, I came across a book. I'm sure some of you might have heard of it. It's called The Purpose-Driven Life by Rick Warren. And in this book, I discovered this poem. I was just 2 weeks in the rehabilitation center. It was just shortly after the accident. And so I was reading this poem and I started crying, because I thought this man had written this poem especially for me. But of course he wrote the poem for humanity at large. So I'd like to read it to you in closing. And it goes like this. You are who you are for a reason. You're part of an intricate plan. You're a special and perfect, unique design, called God's special woman or man. You look like you look for a reason. Our God made no mistake. He knit you together